Welcome to The Drive with your automotive experts and hosts, Lauren Fix and Karl Brauer. Each week we dive into breaking car news, share our latest vehicle reviews, and bring you up to speed on what's happening in the automotive world. Buckle up and hit the road with us. This is The Drive.
Welcome to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. I am Karl Brauer with my talented, capable, and lovely host, Lauren Fix, who has been in the industry like me for, well, a little while. Between the two of us, I think we've got some experience on what's going on in the automotive world.
Don't add our totals together. That's a long time.
The math is painful, and like the worst part of math is you can't escape the raw truth of it. That's true. We've both been doing this a while, and we've seen a lot of interesting things come and go, Lauren. And I think one of the more interesting ones that we see going on right now is this whole right to repair issue that is really, if you are in the know and you are understanding of things like SEMA and the aftermarket and the non-dealer oriented business out there, the industry of people that repair cars that are not officially associated with car dealerships and car brands, and how important it is and how many jobs it does and how much money it saves people.
Billions of dollars.
This is a huge topic, but you've really done a deep dive on this. What is going on here?
Well, I want to let people know something, just to give them an idea how big it is. So for every 100 cars that are sold at your local dealer, pick a brand, only 30 of those cars go back to the dealer for service, whether it's an oil change, a tire rotation, whatever it might be. And so where do those other 70 of 100 cars go? Well, they go to the independent aftermarket, your favorite mechanic on the corner, a chain place like Midas or AutoZone or Napa. There's a million places to go, or maybe they just do it themselves. But there's some new rules and regulations coming out that they don't want you. The car brands don't want you to work on your car. So there's twofold reasons. One, it's about data collection. It's about connectivity. It's about safety. Okay, I'll give you that. But what it's also about is them trying to get everybody back to the dealer because there's money to be made. It's a huge income stream. And they want to eliminate the independent repair shop by saying, you know what? You can't get access to the software. It's got special tools. I know, Karl, you and I have been down the special tools. I mean, my SUV, I couldn't even get an oil change tool because the guy said, you can't get one. I'm like, oh yeah, I went on eBay and I bought it. But that's me. Most people would just go, oh, I have to go back to the dealer. So the dealer does want you to come back because that's how they make their money. They don't make money on the sale of the car. They make it on collision and so forth. So what's really interesting is if you can't go to your favorite repair person, whoever that is, there's a ton of great places around the country. That means you're forced to go back to the dealer. That's how they're controlling it. So it has passed in the state of Massachusetts, the right to repair, where you can go anywhere you want and get your work done. And that's fine. But now the car manufacturers went to the president in the Oval Office, that's Ford, GM, and Stellantis, saying, we really want to pass this other version of the right to repair bill, one that doesn't give the data information to the repair shops. Well, then what are they doing? Rotating tires? Changing oil? Yeah. That's about all they can do. That will put them out of business when you have to do like a timing chain or you got an engine problem, transmission, brakes. They don't want you to do any of that. They want to control it. And so when they brought it to President Trump, they thought it was going to be President Trump siding with them. But they got another thing coming because what he did is he signed the Freedom to Fix Act, and that is a presidential memorandum, which means you can fix your own cars. We're not done with this yet. This is just the beginning. This is step one of many steps because if the car manufacturers have their choice, they don't want you working on your cars. And that would be a problem for you and I, Karl.
Yeah, and it's clearly, like you said, one of the biggest revenue streams for dealerships is not the sale of cars. It's used cars they make more profit on, and then the service. And they would love to see even just a small percentage of independent shop business come back to them. And certainly if they could have a massive amount come back because of this law, they'd love it. So we know whose side the manufacturers, the dealers are on versus the independent shops. It's going to be quite a battle, but we'll be watching it and keeping you guys updated on it. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more on The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. And now we've got a special guest from Tire Rack. This is TJ Campbell. He is the Senior Manager of Tire Information and Testing. That's a pretty impressive sounding title, if you ask me. And he works at Tire Rack, a very impressive retailer of tires that if you're in the know and you've bought a lot of tires, you hopefully already know about them because they usually have the best prices and they make it very easy to find your tire online. But in addition to all that, TJ, there's also a lot to consider this time of year. It's hot out there. We're seeing record temps in various locations. A lot of people are doing their summer driving vacations. Lauren and I love talking about that stuff because we love driving. But tires are often overlooked in that, aren't they, Lauren? People don't think enough about their tires, whether it's the pressure, whether it's the amount of tread left, whether it's how healthy they are and how old they are versus the temperatures they're seeing. High temperatures add stress to a tire. TJ, tell us kind of what Tire Rack has specifically been doing recently related to kind of tire condition and heat and making sure everything's handled.
Absolutely. And, we never stop. It's not just this time of year, but of course it's top of mind right now because it's, summertime, like you said, and people want to go on driving vacations a lot. Let's say things are tough sometimes, or people just want to get out. It's the 250th anniversary of our country. And what better way to experience it than actually drive through and see all of it? But like you said, tires are something that a lot of times are overlooked. They're a product that everybody uses, everybody knows everything about, or so they think. But when's the last time that you've actually looked at your tires? You should get down there and actually inspect them. And I don't just mean as you're walking out to get into the car, everything's loaded up, the kids are already in the car and you're ready to fire it up and drive away. Give yourself, give yourself a week or maybe even 2. Check it 2 weekends. You check your tires 2 weekends before it's time to depart, because nothing is worse than having a tire related incident of any sort when you're out there on the road.
That's true. Remember, there's only 4 things that touch the ground. That's your tires. And that contact patch is about the size of your fist. So it's really small. Can you tell our listeners about, and our viewers as well, because we're also on YouTube and also on our podcast, how to check tire pressure properly? Because I cannot believe that we all know this. I hear people still disputing. Where do I get the correct tire pressure for my car?
Of course, it's on the door placard. It's not what it says on the sidewall of the tire. So open up your driver's side door and it's either physically on the door or on the jamb. It's in one of those 2 places, and it will tell you the cold inflation pressure. So that's not after they've been driven, not after they've been sitting in the sun in the heat of the day. That's in the morning. It tells you what the inflation pressure is, what the proper inflation pressure is for your tire size on your car. And, tire pressure is the most important thing for tires to be able to do everything that we ask them to do. It impacts mundane things like ride comfort or just the way it feels and steers.
And the wear.
The wear, absolutely. One of our manufacturer partners that we do business with did an extensive study, and they found that a 20% underinflated tire has a 50% reduction in wear.
Wow.
So you are just throwing tire life out the window by not having them properly inflated. And you can't rely on your TPMS sensors. The legislation that surrounds those says that they don't have to come on until the tire is 25% underinflated. So you can be driving around, way underinflated before that light ever even comes on.
Right. And then, of course, if you're going to add air, don't just add random amounts of air. Go to your favorite gas station when they throw that tire pressure gauge on the ground. You should have your own in your car.
Yes, absolutely. And preferably one, anything is better than nothing, but a lot of those like 99-cent impulse buy at the auto parts store, a lot of times they're not super accurate. I know it's strange to think like, what, it's an air gauge. Well, I got to calibrate my air gauge, but no, you don't necessarily have to have it calibrated, but it's good to buy one that's not bargain basement. The digital the digital air gauges actually work very, very well.
Or you can buy a dial. A dial one's like $5, and you can use it for every car you own.
Certainly, you can go from car to car. It's not applicable only to that specific vehicle.
Given the critical nature of tire pressure, it's okay to spend a little money to make sure the gauge is accurate.
Yes. And, just other things that people don't think about when it comes to tire pressure, it impacts, hydroplaning resistance, impact resistance. So an underinflated tire is more likely to blow out when you hit a pothole or some other kind of imperfection while you're out there on the roads. And as we've kind of been alluding to, it's hot Like you said, Karl, the heat from the ambient, the heat from the roads, these things do have a negative impact on tires. And when the tire's underinflated, it's building up its own heat more than is required. You generally have, like I said, the family in the car, luggage in the car, sometimes luggage on the roof, which has a multiplying effect because it puts more leverage on those tires. And just all of these things add up. And if your tires are already in somewhat bad condition, they've had impact damage in the past, they're underinflated, nobody wants to be alarmist, but these are the things that, the stacking of tolerances that can result in a very bad situation when you're out there on the road on what is supposed to be a joyous family occasion, making memories.
So true. And there's so many different tires available out there. So Tire Rack does have a great selection of tires. You can get them on rims. I get my winter rims there. I get my performance tires from you. And no, you're not paying me to say this, but I've been using Tire Rack for decades. I know you have too as well, Karl.
Yeah, TireRack.com. It's just a great site to go to. It's great if you're trying to save money. It's great if you want to see a wide selection of tires and even the applications, making sure they fit your vehicle. Everything's there that you need. Tire Rack knows what a consumer shopping for a tire is looking for from start to finish, and they've made the site set up so that you can do that there. So thank you so much, TJ, for coming on. This has been a very helpful bit of information at a time frame, again, when we're seeing potentially record temperatures out there, record temperatures where you boil an egg on pavement, and where you want to remember that your tire's being exposed to that, plus all the load capacity that you're putting on it with family and luggage. This segment was brought to you by iSeeCars.com. That's where I'm executive analyst, and it's a great resource, kind of like TireRack.com. IC Cars has got all the information you need when you're shopping for your next new or used car. A lot of great guidance there, all the listings, local, national, and anywhere in between. Check out iSeeCars.com.
Thanks so much, TJ. We appreciate you joining us. Don't forget to check out TireRack.com. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. This segment's brought to you by Classic Tube. Whether you're restoring a car or repairing the one you have to keep it on the road and you need replacement brake lines, fuel lines, transmission lines, keep it simple. Easy to install. Just take them out of the box and you can replace all of these components yourself. All done in either stainless steel or original steel. It's Classic Tube. They're made here in America. It's classictube.com. Check it out, especially if you're restoring a car. All right, Karl, there's a lot going on in the automotive world that I think people don't realize on a global basis.
Yeah, and that's really what I think. Hopefully our listeners feel like they maybe don't have to follow all this, because there's a lot of potential news to be following out there. But we're trying to bring it to you so you don't have to worry about it as much. We're trying to serve it up to you in a more time-efficient way instead of you having to scour all the headlines. Right now, there's crazy stuff going on the global level because of basically China's ability to displace other car companies. The Chinese car companies can have huge advantages over all the other car companies. And if you are if you're a country or a nation or a geographic area without any kind of protections, we've seen a real sneak preview of what could happen to the U.S. without things like tariffs and other restrictions on Chinese manufacturing. Germany maybe is the most stark and scary one, but I think you know even more about this, Lauren. What's going on there?
Okay, in Germany, they've already lost over 10,000 manufacturing jobs. That's all automotive related. So the number one employer for the entire country is automotive jobs. German cars are fantastic. Mercedes-Benz, Audi, BMW, Volkswagen, Porsche, and there's a lot of other brands also. Some we get, some we don't get. But when they're impacted and they lose 10,000 jobs, what happens? You've got empty factories, and for the first time ever, and we covered this, Volkswagen shut down their plant for the first time ever since the 40s.
Yeah.
It never even happened. Volkswagen makes cars forever. They started as the people's car, and they're still in business and make great product. But they've been injured so badly because their government has allowed Chinese cars to sell in their country. And what they do is they sell at a much lower price. So you as the consumer go, I'll buy that. It looks like it could be an Audi or whatever. And then they find out that the car isn't as good. It doesn't last as long. It's got some glitchy stuff. And of course, it also collects your data and sends it all to China. So consumers may or may not care. But when it impacts their local communities and it impacts their own personal jobs, their friends, their families, now it's affected the economy of the entire country. That's a huge impact.
Yeah, you don't want to lose your manufacturing base. You hear this all the time. People, I think are aware of this as a concept, but you're getting to see it play out in real time. And like you said, the car is like the backbone of the economy in Germany. And a lot of people would argue Germany is like the backbone of the economy in Europe. It's the country that has consistently produced the most, revenue and trade and exporting. And they really do drive a lot of all of Europe's success. It rests on a lot of Germany, and Germany rests on their automotive industry. So for them to be suffering and losing tens of thousands of jobs, and then have China's exports to Germany jumping 17%, which apparently it did this year.
That's huge.
Yeah. China starts to power the German economy versus Germany powering the German economy. And anyone who's listening to this, they're going to probably get sick of me hearing this mantra, but I don't care because you got to restate it. So a lot of people who may not have heard this before, they're hearing this and they're thinking, Lauren, well, why don't they compete with China? Why can't Germany compete with China? Why can't the US? We should be competing with China, not pushing them out of the market or trying to make it tax or tariff them out of competition or existence. No, we should be taxing and tariffing them out of competition because we can't compete with a company or a country that has no minimum wage, has no labor unions, has no overtime, has no little if any medical coverage, and essentially tells its citizens, you're going to go work in a factory for this rate and you're going to like it and ask, thank you, sir, can I have another when we tell you to go do that? And by the way, the government will be totally aligned with these industries and helping to subsidize them. A lot of people, I happen to be one of them, don't think that what China's doing is even sustainable in China. Even with China's the things I just mentioned, they are doing something that is known as a monopoly. This is what monopolies do. They operate at a loss because they can operate at a loss longer than the other company they compete with. The company's go out of business, and then they're the only ones left. And guess what happens once you've driven all your competition out? Do you keep your prices low after you've done that, Lauren?
No, you don't. You raise them back up and you make it unaffordable. Mind you, Germany, 4 plants have closed and over 100,000 layoffs have already occurred. And so what China does is they subsidize it. So why is the car cheaper? Not just because labor gets paid nothing and there's no unions. It's because what they do is, that car really costs us. We should be selling it for 60,000 to compete with what the Germans offer. We're going to sell it for 40, and then the government subsidizes their personal car companies that are made there in their country. But that doesn't last long. And of the 200 car companies in China, many have gone out of business, and then they just park the cars in the field. There's no service. You're on your own. It's like buying a brown paper bag for lunch. It works a couple times.
Yeah. No, it's a bad system. It's a system engineered to grow their global market share while destroying all the other car companies' market share. And again, if you don't think that tariffs are a good idea in the US, go ahead and look across the Atlantic. There's a sneak peek of what would be happening if we didn't have tariffs. Plant closures, massive layoffs, market share dropping like a stone for the domestic brands and increasing like crazy for Chinese brands. So you can have whatever opinion you want of China versus the US and us being able to compete with them. But if you get down to what's driving it, it's things that we would never put up with as American citizens. And it's a government and human resource philosophy that I hope we would never jump on. Because if we did, well, we'd be a lot like China. And I don't know if anyone, I haven't seen a lot of mass exodus from the U.S. to China. There's mass exodus, for instance, from my home state of California. We're losing population overall because of how badly run this state is. But we're not seeing Americans leave and all move to China because it's the better place to live.
No, that's not a better place to live. You would not like living there. You will be grateful that you live in North America. Even Canada has beautiful places. But we do have listenership all around the world. But definitely not China.
All right. Well, this has been a very helpful and I think illuminating segment for a lot of people, certainly for me. Thanks for that information, Lauren. We will be right back after this quick break. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. And we are thrilled to have a very special guest with us for this segment, Sascha Doering. He is Chief Operating Officer for Bugatti of the Americas. And Sascha, thank you so much for joining us today on The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Looking forward to talking to you about really one of the most premium and exciting brands in the automotive universe.
Well, it's a sincere pleasure, Lauren and Karl, to be with you. Absolutely.
There's a lot going on with Bugatti. We're excited because we both love the cars. I mean, how could you not love a Bugatti? I mean, it's everybody's dream car. But what's new and what's going on with Bugatti?
A lot has been going on with Bugatti for the past 117 years, but I think we really kicked it into gear about 20 years ago again, with creating the hypercar segment in really giving birth to the Veyron, which was created about 20 years ago. And that really marked the time when Bugatti redefined and defined the modern days of Bugatti, and it has evolved into what we believe is the pinnacle automotive brand today in the world.
No, that's fabulous. And I mean, I think a lot of people, I know myself, when I think 20 years since the Veyron came out, it's just like, where did those 20 years go? That still seems like such a huge event in the history of the automotive world. And the fact that that was 20 years ago and what that car accomplished and what it still stands for today is amazing. But Sascha, beyond the car, you guys have really built this brand as kind of the global, wealth situation has grown. I feel like Bugatti's taking an extremely prominent role as the world has gotten very interested in these kind of super hypercars, as you've described them, these hyper luxury cars, hyper performance cars. And you've come up with some creative events. So it's not just about the car, but it's really about the atmosphere around the car and some of the events that you've created for your customers. Can you tell us about some of these? I've heard rumors and rumblings about them, but you were right there. What's been going on in the event world?
For us, the one of the most important things is to build community. We are very blessed with having a client audience of some of the most wonderful people in the world, very accomplished. And it is important for us to build a community around them, around their passion, right? And the passion is everything that Bugatti is. Bugatti has built its brand and its philosophy and its DNA around craftsmanship, around innovation, around breaking boundaries. We are very good at that. And of course, around luxury, as Ettore Bugatti said, nothing is too expensive and nothing is too beautiful. Art is a very big piece of what we are. And so for us, it's important to build a community around it, to bring those wonderful people together, to spend time with them. We talk about being a family, the Bugatti family, and we bring each other together and create, and we create wonderful events, pinnacle events of what we describe. We brought our clients together for a 400 drive. There's very few places around the world where you can stretch your Bugatti beyond 400 kilometers per hour. And we did this at Cape Canaveral a few years ago.
Wow.
These are memorable moments and experiences of a lifetime. And that is what we want to give back to our community. Or driving their Bugatti during the qualifying times and hours of the F1 Grand Prix in Las Vegas, something that we were able to arrange for our clients. So very special moments. But it doesn't stop there. It is also, spending time and hanging out together in nature. We recently did a grand tour with a global audience in South Africa. So it's really all about bringing the family together and celebrating these art on wheels.
It truly is art on wheels. Every time I see one, it's jaw dropping how beautiful they are, from the whole era of Bugatti, from race cars all the way to current super and hyper cars. I mean, they really are fantastic. Are there any areas in the United States where people could see or come and attend just to be a part of the community?
Yeah, it's come and join us in Pebble Beach. Pebble Beach, obviously, the Concours d'Elegance and the whole week around that. We love bringing our clients. We love bringing fans together there. Our entire team is there for an entire week. Those are really the moments. And then from time to time, if you're lucky enough and be somewhere close to the coast or somewhere, some cool roads, you see our cars flying by. However, they're very rare. We only produce around 80 to 100 cars for the world every year. It is also something that we plan to keep it that way. Rarity is one of our key values. and this is something that will not fundamentally change in the future.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Obviously, you've created a very elite brand, and I think one of the most valuable elements of Bugatti and all the events you're talking about in the community you've built is to have this sense that this is not a commonplace car. This is not a everyday occurrence. This is a very elite, unique experience to own the vehicles and to be part of that community. Now, Sascha, I think you told me before we started taping that you're from Germany. I'm curious about your background. What led you to Chief Operating Officer for Bugattis of the America? That's a pretty impressive title. How did you get there?
Passion, passion for everything that Bugatti is. Passion for craftsmanship. Some things that people don't know is I started to work in and was born into a family of craftsmen, and I created things that go down and are operating on 1/10 of a millimeter of precision. Wow. And from there on, I followed the path with a passion for what Bugatti is, which are the pinnacle of luxury automotive industry, and innovation. Innovation is very important for me, and that's ultimately how I ended up to where I am today. And I'm very grateful and blessed to have the opportunity to do this amongst a great team. Yeah.
Wow, very impressive. So you're truly an engineer at heart, but still a design. Well, I guess you're into the design and the style and the performance, and you certainly have all of that at Bugatti.
Yeah, sounds like the perfect pairing for your background there, Sascha.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a plan, right? Let me say that. And now having the opportunity to continue to build the brand with which was started 20 years again with Veyron is an incredible opportunity. Since then, our products evolved from the Veyron to the Chiron to the Devo to the Cento 10 to the Bolide to the Mistral, now to the Tourbillon. These are all very phenomenal pieces of art, of innovation and engineering. These are dreams, right? And they're very rare dreams. They're very rare dreams, and it is something that we carefully built also over the past years in the North American market. Around 20 years ago, when the brand started, the North American market composed of around 20% of our global business. Today, it is around 40%, and wow. It is a testament to what the brand means, what the value means to the North American market, and that growth is also an accomplishment of where the company has been going, particularly under the new leadership of Mate Rimac, who is an icon himself already. He has been redefining the future for Bugatti in the Tourbillon. It is all about emotions. It is all about, at the core of it, a V60 naturally aspirated super emotional powertrain that we pair with an hybrid electrified powertrain together. So this is all about emotions. It's all about emotions. It's also breaking some of the boundaries when everybody is going into screens and into more technical aspect. We want to bring everything down to emotions, and decided to go for an analog interior of the vehicle, right? So highly emotional powertrain, highly emotional interior. That is really of what we want to create for our clients and for our communities is emotional interactions with the Bugatti brand, and we will not divert from that.
Wow. Thank you, Sascha, for joining us today. Sascha Doering is the COO of Bugattis of the Americas, and we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sascha. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. And this segment is brought to you by Karl Brauer Cars, where you can see a little bit of everything from high-end cars to Nissan, Versas, and everything in between. Ford F-150 Tremors. I'm putting up multiple videos a week, and I really enjoy getting access to these press cars and letting you know what I think of them, and hopefully in a very honest and candid way, because just like on this show with you, Lauren, that's what I like to do in my road test reviews on my video channel, Karl
You
Brauer
have great
Cars.
stuff. You have great stuff, Karl Brauer Cars. I watch it. Karl does a great job. So check it out. You'll be pleased.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Karl, tell us, this is an interesting conversation. We have a lot of offline conversations in a gigantic group text with some of our friends. But this one really threw a lot of people off base with Polestar, if you even know who Polestar is.
Yeah, so Polestar is an interesting, really study. You know, I mean, it started out kind of like the AMG of Mercedes. It was their performance division, and then it became a division of pure electric cars. And it was like it was his own outside company, just like AMG was. Then Polestar kind of absorbed Volvo absorbed the Polestar name, and it became kind of performance versions of Volvos. And then it became their pure electric vehicle division in the last like 10 years. And so now Polestar is kind of the premium luxury and pure electric division within or above, if you want to say, the Volvo brand. Now, remember, these two companies, Volvo and Polestar, are owned by Geely. I think it's Geely, or is there another E?
No, you're right.
Anyways.
There's Geely, yes. And it's a Chinese car company.
It's a Chinese car company. We were talking about China earlier in the show. So what has happened is that the U.S. has been analyzing the software on Chinese cars, and their determination is that it's very likely that these cars are recording a lot of the information that is going on, whether it's the people's faces, which they're recording often, whether it's the audio inside the car, where the car's location is, everything that's going on. You know, we all know your car is kind of like your phone. It knows you as well or better than anything else. And it's sending all that information back to China. And so the U.S. is nervous about that. And so they have started they passed legislation that will watch out for software that they don't trust in cars that concern them. Since there's not a lot of Chinese cars sold in this country, it's not a big deal. But Geely owns Polestar and Volvo, and so those are Chinese cars sold here under those brands. So very recently, the U.S. decided Polestar can't sell in the U.S. anymore. The basis of its software, its software language, and how it works inside the car is connected to China too closely, and the U.S. is nervous. So they just killed Polestar sales in the U.S. This is huge, Lauren, because this company, they've been investing big time. They're trying to grow their market share globally. The U.S. is a big market. Not, electric cars here struggle. Tesla kind of has a real stranglehold, and all the other divisions have struggled. But Polestar had every intention of expanding here. They had a local production. They have a plant, I believe, in South Carolina that they've invested in.
They do, right near the BMW plant, because that's where Michelin builds tires there too. So, I mean, it employs people. But remember, they only built the Polestar 3 here, and you can look it up online, and we'll have pictures on our website, our YouTube channel, The Drive Car Show. But if you look up Polestar 3, that's made here. That can be sold here. But the Polestar 4 and 5 are not. And they tried to sneak around it by having them built in Korea. Doesn't work that way. We're not foolish. It's like your kids trying to trick you, right? Oh, no, Ma, really? No, I was here where I was actually not.
It doesn't matter where the car is assembled. It matters what the software that's operating. And they're all operating off the same software. Now, what's fascinating is that they've decided Polestar can no longer be sold here. And Polestar essentially said, fine, we're done. They're not even fighting this. So they're pulling things.
Well, you're guilty, right?
They can't deny the reality and all. And I was just on a Polestar trip that was introducing the 5, which was a very impressive car. I think of it as like the Polestar Panamera. It was a very impressive car. And they can't sell it here now. So Polestar is going to pull out. They've got like 30 plus dealers who are just kind of SOL now. They don't have the ability to do anything. And what's really weird that I can't understand is that Volvo still is allowed to be sold in this country. And they are, again, owned by the same company in Geely, and I feel like their software is similar too. But they don't only sell electric cars, they sell internal. They sell at a much higher volume. Not sure what's going on there, but no more Polestars for the US. It's kind of sad.
Well, there'll be more coming up. We've got some other things to talk about. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. This segment is brought to you by Car Coach Reports. That's my news channel. We go into much deeper dives in this information, as well as other information, gas prices, those flock cameras, and then, of course, more things like insurance and what's going on that no one else is even talking about. I try to give you information and then do a little deeper dive and pull all those little strings so you don't have to. Check out Car Coach Reports on YouTube. My website is carcoachreports.com. Now, Karl, speaking of pulling those little strings, we've talked about a lot of different things, especially in past episodes about those flock cameras. Well, now, this literally just happened before this episode was reported while we're here live, that the European Union is going to make all car brands, new and used, have a camera on the driver. So you're driving down the Autobahn, down your local street, whatever it is, and you are forced to install a camera pointed at the driver. Wow. Does that open up a lot of interesting conversation?
George Orwell.
Yes,
Orwell.
1984. If you haven't seen it, read the book. I suggest reading the book. It's better than the movie. But it's scary. I mean, so now it's not just listening in the car, it's watching your driving to make sure you're a safe driver. And we have mentioned this in past episodes about Benjamin Franklin and his statement about, do you want security or do you want freedom? I may have not quoted that right, but either way, if you want, you can't have both because you end up getting neither.
Yeah.
You end up getting neither. No safety, no security, and no freedom.
Right. Yeah. You give it all up. And I got to tell you, I mean, this is the discussion that makes me think about things like when this country was founded. There was this point in time where they would have like these land runs. Remember, they would just open up the land that no one had ever lived on before, and they would allow people to just kind of run into the area and stake out a claim of land to settle for their own. And they had no guarantees, Lauren. There could be Indians that would, show up. Native Americans could show up and kill you. There could be a drought and your farm would die and all.
Right.
And there could be crazy cowboys, which used to mean cowboy used to be the term for like criminals that rustled cattle and stole things and stuff.
Right.
Anything could happen. There was no safety margins. There was no protections and all. And the country still was founded by a lot of rugged individuals who were willing to go out and do whatever it took to turn Americans' wilderness into productive farmland and settled area that was safe and secure. And now we've got cameras that have to watch you at all times and make sure you're behaving properly. It's literally the antithesis of, and again, this is Europe, so I don't want to say Europe.
Come here. They're going to try and bring it here. You know how this goes.
Yeah.
You always see it in another country first. They sort of test the waters.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, Europe's often a preview of coming attractions for this country, and a lot of times it's attractions I'm not attracted to. But I don't think any of this is. And of course, we've already got similar things here. I was talking recently about the Blue Cruise that I had from the Ford F-150 Tremor that I drove.
Tracks your eyes.
It was very effective, but boy, if I started looking too long at the center display screen or something, and I'm like, and I'm not thinking it's that long. I'm looking at the road and then I'm looking down, maybe adjusting something. Turn your eyes on the road. I get a warning in the dash.
It's like having your mother on your shoulder.
Yeah. So this is not the way that a lot of people who are certainly from our generation think of driving, as this nanny that's watching you at every moment and telling you when you're misbehaving. It's a scary concept.
It is. And you think, that's not going to happen here. Well, we already have the kill switch bill, which we've covered multiple times. I've covered that on my Car Coach Reports channel, and that's already passed. It is a law since the 2021 infrastructure bill. And part of that is tracking your eyes, listening in your car, making sure you're not under the influence, making sure you're not speeding, making sure you're not angry or upset behind the wheel. All of this is the same type of parallel. This is just the EU's version of it. So they're going to make you go back to older cars. Here, it's happening in newer cars. And so a lot of people are very concerned about this. And car brands haven't even created the technology yet, but they're working on the patents. And I'll have a full list of those patents coming soon on Car Coach Reports.
Yeah, and you think about it, it's the older car thing that's scary, because a lot of people, myself included, are like, fine, I'm not buying any new cars if they're like this. But this European law, as you mentioned, it's like, no. The cars have to be built that way new, and they have to have retrofit installed if they're older. And that's because, to me, the idea that I would actually go back into like my daughter's 88 Formula Firebird or my 2002 BMW 330ci convertible and quote unquote upgrade them to spy on me while I drive. Scary stuff.
Yeah, it is. And these are things you need to be watching, and we'll be covering that and a lot more in upcoming episodes, including some great interviews. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, The Drive Car Show, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcasts, and we will be posting new stuff every week.
You've been listening to The Drive. your trusted source for the latest car news, expert reviews, and real insights into the automotive world. Thanks for riding along with us today. You can check out the entire archive of every episode on our YouTube channel, The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and join the conversation by leaving your comments. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay safe, enjoy the ride, and we'll see you right back here on The Drive.